Well, good morning, everyone, or afternoon, wherever you're at when you're watching this. Today, it's middle of March, and I'm getting ready to do the animal chores this morning, a little later than usual because I've been trying to research. I believe that our gilt Kunekune pig is pregnant. I think she's probably, based on my calculations, December 8th and December 19th, she was with a boar. That would put her farrowing piglets April 4th through basically the end of April, give or take. 3 months, 3 weeks, 3 days, 116-day gestation for coonies. So I've got to prepare a farrowing shelter today. And that's what I was trying to research a little bit, how and where to put the creep, how big to make the creep, how big to make the shelter in general, all of those things. And then just trying to confirm that my eyes are not lying to me and that what I see is actually a pregnant cooney pig. You'll get to see some of those images here. It's always difficult. Gilts are difficult to notice. They can hide their heat cycles a little bit better than sows, and they certainly can hide their signs of pregnancy. At least within a couple of weeks, the sows will start to show signs and changes in their anatomy and their behavior, where a gilt may not necessarily do that as readily. So I'm gonna get some water, take it out to the pigs, and then I'll feed them, and I'll show you a little bit of what I'm working with and why I think she may be pregnant. It's finally warm enough that we can use the hose outside instead of having to go inside to the utility sink in the basement to fill water. If you remember back in the introduction video, the first video on the channel, which will be linked up here, I showed the well room in our basement as one of the projects on my list to get done. That's what I'm standing on top of right now. So below this is our well and our well pump. We're gonna have to try to figure out how to seal off the basement and remove this slab, bring all the hardware inside, but still have access to that well. That way we can get nice cold water like this. My first stop is to give the chickens some water today. There's some green showing up on the multiflora rose, which I want to get out of here. But here's the pigs. Good morning, pigs. Good morning. Hey, Rosie girl. How you doing, Rosie? Huh? How you doing today? You doing okay? Yeah, I think you are. You can see down there. It's hard to tell, but I think we are starting to get a little milk line there. So I moved the boar back in with our feeder pigs. And I'll go ahead and get him some feed. You ready for some feed, girl? Ladies first, even in the pig world. Oh, all over your head. What's that about, huh? What's that about? Silly girl. So there's sign number one. That looks swollen and elongated to me. And that is sign number two. That looks like a milk line coming in to me. Those are way more pronounced than they normally are. She should have been in a heat cycle this past weekend, 3-4 days ago, and I didn't notice any activity of breeding. I noticed the vulva seemed swollen, but I just assumed it was breeding because she was in heat. Now that her heat cycle should have passed, that vulva should have decreased in size. And these are the dead giveaway for me. So Rosie, I think you're gonna be a mom. I think you're gonna be a mama. Let's come and take care of you guys. How you guys doing, huh? Are you getting along? You haven't had to be around each other in quite a while. The art of the feed toss. Boris, did you do a good job? Did you do a good job with Rosie? Are you gonna be a father? I think we'll find out in a couple of weeks. Looks like Rosie's water is full, so I'm not gonna worry about that. We'll take this back over to the feeder pigs. Yep, they definitely need it. They could use a good clean out too. There we go. I probably should move that somewhere to be a little bit more flat. That way I can keep more water in it. There, that's better. There, good fresh water for the three boys. The infamous feed bowl switcheroo. You guys never stick to your same bowl. Grass is always greener with pigs. You gotta check out and make sure that what they have is the same as what everybody else got, huh, Boris? So now that the chores are done, I am gonna go and see if I can get started working on a farrowing shelter. But first, I'm gonna stop and enjoy these purple blossoms. They are popping up all over the place on this side, southeast side of the house. Man, they're just gorgeous. That pop of color, the pop of color is just incredible from these flowers. So for this project, I'm going to use some pre-cut 2x2s. They're 8 feet long, 96 inches. Whatever screws I've got left, and nails if I need them, and then a circular saw. And that's basically going to be the gist of it. I'm going to try and go 6 feet long by 5 feet wide, 3 foot high sides with a 45-degree angled roof slope to give me roughly a 6 foot high peak, so that I can get in and out easily. 3 foot high on the sides would be perfect for pigs. And then I'll use plastic corrugate to windproof it and weatherproof it, waterproof it, make it comfortable. Changed my mind. I'm gonna do 5 feet. 5 feet by 5 foot square. Because then I can use 3 foot sides. Hi, honey. Sorry if I bumped you around there a little bit. Are 4 5 foot and 4 3 foot bottom rails.
So in this section of the build, I'm putting the base together. This is going to act like the foundation that supports the rest of the structure. It is a 5 by 5 foot square at this point. One of the things that I do when I'm running screws so I don't have to pre-drill is I burn the screws in, which is where you use your screw gun, your impact driver, and you run the screws backwards in order to burn a little hole, and then you can drive your screw without the risk of, at least it reduces the risk of cracking those boards when you put the screw in place. Now what I'm doing is putting the vertical posts at each of the 4 corners. My oldest boy is helping me do that at the moment. He is very interested in what's going on. He loves to be handy, and he takes after Almanzo, if you're familiar with the Farmer Boy book series. Next thing we have to do is put a 5-foot section on top of those 3-foot corner posts. That way we have 3-foot high sides. Pigs are not 3 feet tall, especially these Kune pigs. They're a little bit shorter, but 3 foot high is gonna give them plenty of room to walk in and roll around. I've got to cut 2 more 5-foot sections to be at least the back. I ended up changing my mind. Originally, I was going to go with a center peaked roof, and I decided to change that design a little bit based on the type of material that I'm working with and how much room I want to be able to get in there myself. So you can see I put that centerpiece in there. That's about halfway between the first 5-foot section. So the left-hand side will become a door, the right-hand side will become a wall, and in one of those corners will be the creep for the piglets to get out of the way. One of the things that I'm gonna do to brace the whole structure is put 8 to 10 inch angle braces at the corner of each corner post. So there'll be 2 per post. They'll be cut at 45 degrees, and that'll just help to hold those corner posts in place and give them a little bit more structural support at pig level, which is, 12, 14 inches. You can see here I am putting those on. I just basically toe screwed them into the corner post and to the, let's call them foundation boards. And again, I'm burning them in as I go.
So I had to take a break for lunch there. This is as far as I've gotten. Originally, I was gonna take this center post and run it straight up and make a regular peaked roof that runs both directions. And instead, I think I'm gonna make a high side and a low side lean-to. I think that will maximize the space because this is gonna be a doorway. That way she's got an area to go to get her piglets out of the way. We'll probably build the creep right up here in the front so that if we need to, we can run an extension cord inside and drop a heat lamp down in there. So that's my next course of action for the afternoon. I had to go pick up a couple more pieces of lumber. These 2x2s are really cheap and they're lightweight. So we'll end up putting plywood on the sides, and then for the roof, we'll run a tarp. I think that's gonna be the most efficient way. It doesn't need to be, like I said, this isn't a permanent structure. So just similar to a chicken tractor, it only needs to be good enough for, let's say, 4 or 6 weeks, and then we can start the process of weaning those piglets at about 8 weeks, and then they'll be off on their own, eating grass in their own paddocks. So I'm gonna keep throwing this together. We'll do angled braces. See them angled braces down in the corners there. All those angled brace pieces will be to help give it some structural security on the bottom, because that's where the pigs are going to be probably most rough with it. But hopefully it comes together quickly and we can actually move Rosie into today.
Here what I decided to do is flip the whole structure on its side, and I'm gonna put vertical beams in the middle of each of those walls, which will give me something additional to tack that plywood to for some structural support so that the walls just don't get bowed out. Since I'm just using lightweight, cheap 1/4 inch plywood, then the pigs won't be as likely to destroy this in just a couple of weeks. The next thing I decided to do is, when I changed the design, I decided I would go with something similar, but more modular, which means I have those 3-foot sections at the bottom that's vertical and square. I can take that and I can actually make a dual pitched roof, a center pitched roof, and build a chicken tractor with that. Instead of having the lean-to style that I'm going to use for this farrowing shelter, I could simply convert it into a chicken coop later. So now I have to build the front section, which is another 3-foot high wall that's going to sit on top of one of the sides of this structure. And in order to make that work, I've got to be able to cut the angles properly so that I can actually attach it to the top of the structure. What that means is I've got to do some a squared plus b squared equals c squared calculations. So I've got this piece of lumber here. I made a mark. That's the 69 and a quarter mark. And I need, if you do the measurements, it's 34 and a half high, 69 and a quarter on the angle, that's the hypotenuse, and then it's 60 inches or 5 feet across the bottom. With a 90-degree angle, that top is a 60-degree angle, which means I need to describe a 30-degree angle on the board. And down here, it would be a 30-degree angle inside, which means I need to describe a 60-degree angle on the board in order to get the angles to work properly to sit flush with that top plate. So I'm gonna go ahead and cut that now. Now that I have the hypotenuse cut with angles in it, I can attach it to that upper section of the wall there. I'm gonna do that 3 times, 1 on each of the sides and 1 in the middle to give some more structural support for the tarp roof that will go on this structure. Again, the whole idea is to be able to make it modular. I could just pull that whole top section off and I could use that as a lean-to shelter for pigs down the road, and I can convert the bottom half with a center pitched roof to be a chicken tractor. Again, I'm going through and putting angled braces to help hold that top section onto the bottom section. That's basically how the whole thing's going to be attached. So once I remove those angled braces, that whole roof section will be able to be removed. One other thing that I'm going to do is where the doorway sits, and in the back corner, I'm gonna put, they're like leaves that will hold, you can see it right there, that'll hold the top to the bottom section just for some extra support in those sections. Now I'm starting to take measurements for the plywood that's gonna go as the sheathing on the side of the structure to make it windproof, to provide some shelter from sun and from wind. And I'm just using 1/4-inch sanded plywood. I'll make the measurements and then cut it with my circular saw. One thing I realized is that I needed to brace that plywood. It was too flexible. I didn't want to risk cutting the driveway or the bricks underneath. So I put a couple of bricks to raise it up off the ground so that I can cut it without it flexing on me and preventing the saw blade from contacting the wood. And now I'm just going through and tacking it to the structure itself. That's what I'll do all the way around the structure. For the roof, I purchased a 6-foot by 8-foot heavy-duty tarp, and I'm going to pre-drill 2 holes, one in line with the eyelet on the tarp itself and then one underneath it that I can use zip ties to secure the tarp to the structure itself. There it is, all finished. We've got a doorway, we've got solid walls on 2 sides, nice solid wall here, and then on this side we went real homestead on it. It started just taking tiny little boards because that's all we had. Sometimes that's what you gotta do. I would have spent another hour out at the store trying to buy another piece of plywood, and instead we just made do with what we had, and it'll work just fine. Rosie only stands about that tall anyhow, so all of the draftiness is closed up. Down low, it already feels, I don't feel any wind. I bought a heavy duty tarp for the roof
So, and then we've got our man door. So now what I gotta do is figure out how I'm gonna move Rosie over here. I think I'm gonna put her in this area where we had the chickens last. And we'll see. That's close enough that I can run an extension cord to put a heat lamp out there for the pigs on cold nights. And it's right close by the chickens, so that should make it easier for me, easier for us, and that'll make it easier for her in the long run. But I gotta figure out how to move her over here. No, the acorns can stay. Okay. Chickens.
I see how. Are the pigs gonna? Are the other pigs gonna have that wood stuff?
Yep.
They're gonna be around that pile of wood.
Yep.
Wow. And they're gonna get around.
They'll be just fine.
Where are you gonna put a shelter? Oh wow, no. And you're gonna have to do it really quickly, right?
Not super thick at first.
Are you gonna use the whole bay in here?
I don't know.
It's big. I thought it. Now we're taking a look more at the chicken coop in our shelter.
You think?
Yeah. The chickens are running at their prime zone.
Today just turned into one giant experiment. I opened up, we had to move Rosie up by the chickens because I needed to be able to run an extension cord out there. And then might as well just move the other pigs while we're at it. So I'm getting ready to clip electric fence back on. And we'll see how the three little piggies and the chickens get along because they have one big area to roam. My hope is that the pigs will help keep the predators away, aerial predators and nighttime predators. And maybe they'll just get along. We'll see. So this is where we're left. We got the three little piggies in their new home with the shelter and a big wide area for them to run around in. And in it with them is the chickens. Scratching up everything. Doing what chickens do best. Beautiful sunset coming through. It's just a gorgeous day. And then we have Miss Rosie over here. And she's all set in her new enclosure. She's got her new house, her piglet hut over there, filled with hay. She's just chomping on things. Remember I said she had a run-in with the metal roofing, and that's healing up quite nicely. So Red Coat, this Blue Coat's twin cousin, did a really good job of keeping a moist barrier so that it could heal up properly. And we're expecting piglets. Look at that belly. Milk line's coming in good. Like I said, somewhere between April 4th and April 16th would be the heat cycles when she was bred. So we'll see what happens. I appreciate you guys joining us. It's always something new here, and this is our first time, so never knew what to expect when you're considering having piglets on the farm. I mean, we wanted them to breed, that was the goal, but I didn't really know what to look for, so it kind of got to panic mode when I came out to feed her one morning and noticed the milk line obviously sagging and more full than it had been ever before. So with any luck, we'll have baby piglets coming here soon. The chickens are happy. We got something cool coming with them too, so stay tuned. There's a lot of big things happening on the farm. It's springtime. That's what it's all about.